Hi there, everyone. Welcome. Happy you could make it. Chad, good to see you. Awesome. We got Tyler here. Ruby, Mary, Maya, awesome. I
Hey,
just
Chad.
graded your assessment today there, Mary. Great. Hey, everyone, and welcome to our iHeart Skateboarding virtual session. We're really happy you could make it. Do a quick little intro here. My name's Matt. I'm the Get On Board manager. We normally have our guy Braden run these, but he had to take care of his 4 kids tonight, so he's a little preoccupied. So yeah, I got his notes. I'm gonna do my best here. Oh, Zachary's here too. Awesome. All right. So in this session, we're just gonna talk a little bit about skateboarding and get on board really. So kind of what makes it tick, some of the kind of things we found work, don't work, and just some kind of our best practices. And we love to hear from you guys too. I know that Chad's running the program right now. Um, Zach Taryn has seen a few of our programs kind of come into play. We've been getting him set up with some awesome teachers. Tyler is one of our awesome guys. He runs the program, helps run this program at Winnicott. So we definitely have a lot of people here. We can kind of share some wisdom, share some experience, and maybe kind of come away with some really cool stuff. So real quick, do you guys want to do introductions? Start out with Chad.
My name is Chad Murrin. I am an elementary phys ed teacher at Eastern York School District. I am also the 2025 grant recipient for the state of Pennsylvania for Get On Board. And I just started rolling out the program to my first elementary school about 3 weeks ago, and it's going fantastic.
Awesome. Thanks, Chad. Ruby? Oop, sorry, Ruby, you're on mute.
Thanks. I'm Ruby Kickert. I'm with the Phillipsburg Skate Park Association in Phillipsburg, Montana, and we're looking to start a program in our community. We just finished our skate park in the town park.
Oh, awesome. Great. Glad you're here.
Yeah,
Thank
One
you.
sec. Did you get that with support from Jeff Ammon and Montana Pool Services?
we did. They're great. He's putting in skate parks everywhere.
Oh my goodness, that's rad. Amazing.
Yeah, we have
Yeah, with
almost
email
50,
for sure. So
almost 50 in the state.
it's awesome.
Very cool. Thank you.
Mhm.
And then we'll move over to Tyler. Tyler, you want to do a little quick intro here?
Yeah, sure. So my name is Tyler. I'm a junior at Winnicott High School, and I've been involved with First Push Syndicate for the past 4 years, bringing skateboarding to my middle school and my high school.
Awesome. Thank you. And potentially our summer intern. We'll keep talking, Tyler. Zach, you want to do a little intro?
This Zach.
That Zach,
Okay, perfect. Hi.
microveteran.
Yeah. I'm a graduate student at University of New Hampshire, and I'm doing a research project that involves skateboard education. And so what I've been working in is an adaptation guide for students with special needs. And I've been learning from some great people at First Push and trying to work with more PE teachers in the New England area to learn more about it.
Awesome, man. Thanks. Kendall, you want to say hi?
Hi, everybody. My name's Kendall. I don't know what year I received the grant. I'm sorry, Chad. You're wonderful for knowing that stuff. And I oversaw the Skate Gypsum project, which was a project-based learning project, getting a skate park built and revamped in our community. And I've been integrating skateboarding into project-based learning into my alternative high school classroom for a couple of years now. So you guys are doing awesome stuff, and thank you.
Awesome. Thanks, Kendall. Mary, you got a second to say hi? It's all right. If you want to type it, that's totally cool too. If you can't figure out the mute, I know it's so tricky.
There we go. I got it. I got
There we
it.
go.
Sorry. Hi, I'm Mary. I'm over in Nevada City, California. I'm a high school teacher. We just got out and I have to run home to feed my chickens. Let's see. I teach a skate elective here in Nevada City. I'm also I'm a skate mom, and I just was newly appointed to the board of Nevada County Skate here, which is my first board meeting is also in an hour. So I'm kind of running crazy right now. And I think that's it.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Mary. That's awesome. And then Matt, you want to say hi real quick?
There we go. Hi, everyone. I'm Matt Bristol. I'm in Vermont. I teach middle school. Looking forward to getting my skateboards back. We have a pod in our district, so they've been going around. I had them at the beginning of the year, and looking forward to getting them back here sometime in March when I go present for First Push at Shape Vermont. And then I'm hoping to start a before after school club sometime in April when all the winter sports have cleared out of the gym. I can use the gym in the afternoon again. So, hi everyone. Hope you're staying warm. It's very cold here.
It's so cold right now. It's so cold. Awesome, guys. Thank you. So yeah, let's get this rolling. So, I mean, a great way to start this out is, does anyone have any feedback on like what skateboarding does for your students? I mean, Tyler, you've seen a lot of awesome people in your school work with skateboarding. Chad, this is your first experience bringing skateboarding into your physical education class. Like, what's that aura going on right now? Like, where are these students vibing? How are they doing with it? Like, talk about it, let me know.
Well, we just we had our first local news agency come in to do a segment today, so it was really neat. I have not seen the actual footage that's going to run later tonight, but he they did send me the write-up that they did for their website, and it was really neat to see some of the kids and the quotes that the kids gave, because I was not with them when they went and were interviewed by the reporter. So um, one of our students that went, he was a skateboarder before he even started, and he talked about how cool it was that he was able to now kind of show off his skills in front of other people. And it was the first time that he was ever able to do that in a phys ed class, because a lot of the sports or activities that they had traditionally done, he was not like an athlete that did that. So he was extremely excited to be able to say that this was something that he could do. And he also talked about how it gave him the opportunity now to help out others. So he was taking a leadership role immediately from the skateboarding. And then a second student that went, she's still, and I got this from Matt last time, she's in our slow zone. So she's still learning how to stand up confidently on a skateboard. And she talked about the quote, well, I don't know the exact quote, but she talked about how just this is the third time that we've done skateboarding, and how excited she is that she can actually stand up now on a board and move just a little bit, because it was like she wasn't even comfortable with trying to stand on a board with balance. So the reporter kind of asked me, is like, what's the one thing that you got out of this? And I said, so far, it's seeing some of these kids come in and you can see fear on their face, to you see fun by the time that they're finished, just because of the confidence that they're building, and just the social interaction that they're getting with each other as well, especially since it's a new skill that a lot of them aren't used to. Being able to see them work together, hold hands as they're one person is wheeling another person skating. So it's just been a really cool experience for all the things that we've done previously.
Yeah, that's totally awesome. Thanks, Chad, for sharing that. I know I've had the pleasure of being in so many different schools at this point and teaching so many kids how to skateboard that you almost miss how impactful it is to so many students when you see so many going through it. So it's so like refreshing to hear it from like a new teacher going through it, and like having that first blast of experience going like, oh my God, these kids are like developing right before my eyes. It's so cool to see. Yeah. Anyone else? Bueller. All right, cool.
I'll go.
Yeah.
Chad, I agree with what Matt said completely. Like, it's fun to hear from fresh eyes the perspective, and then it takes you back through all the stories. But but congratulations, good work. I think for me recently, I've been reflecting a lot on all the adaptive work that everybody's been doing with the organization, and how, sorry, tiny humans are helping me. Anyways, I think we talk a lot about adaptive skateboarding with physical adaptations, and I think we forget a little bit about how much skateboarding adapts to our neurodivergent population. And that's what's been really apparent in this winter in my class. Like, obviously we're integrated here in Colorado in like snow sports instead of skating sports, but the high schoolers are putting together the pod of gear for the middle schoolers right now, and how they're using that as a brain break to focus in on class. And then I teach at an alternative high school, and my students are chronically absent. They're chronically tardy. 30 of the kids were on time at the bottom of the mountain to meet for snowboarding, to take a run together last week. And I don't know, it just really, I wanted to highlight in this group how much skateboarding helps our neurodivergent community, not just our like physically adaptive community.
I will piggyback off both Chad and Kendall. One, this idea of traditional versus non-traditional units or activities is something I'm really exploring within the meaningful PE. Like, how do we make PE meaningful? And if you haven't heard of that framework, I've talked about it before. I know Brandon's written a whole skateboarding article about, or blog on how meaningful PE and skateboard align. But this idea of allowing like the others to shine, like the one who doesn't usually shine in our space, is kind of what Chad was talking about. It's like it allows the kid who has a different experience than the team sport experience or the traditional sport experience, and maybe what PE will be, to really shine. And then along with that adaptive work, I appreciate that comment, Kendall, just about the neurodivergent, and something I'm going to look into more. But just, I had a recent conversation with my students who is very visually impaired, physically normally functioning, but just visually can't see, right? And so like putting duct tape on the skateboard, like bright duct tape on the skateboard where the kid would put their foot. And so I had one, but the kid doesn't want to stand out. They want nothing that's going to make them look different. So then it's like, okay, I need to like put that duct tape on a third to a half of the skateboard so they look more the same. So just little things like that. Just what's good for one student is going to be probably great for a lot of other students. So that duct tape could very well help, just in terms of like where to put your foot to start your balance. And even having like the perpendicular, like different colors for like how to parallel versus perpendicular. So.
Oh, feel free to go ahead.
Hey, y'all. I want to piggyback on that adaptive part, because back in December, I attended a family night at one of our schools that is a pre-K to 12th grade, all in one school. So they have some grades with like 6 kids, some with up to, I think it was like 19 was their biggest group. And that teacher, what she highlighted on the adaptability was the age part. And she had preschoolers skateboarding with, so 3-year-olds skateboarding with 18-year-olds. And it was one of the only activities that she had where she actually felt safe having kids do it. And it's one where like the younger kids were ripping in and out of the older kids too. Their inhibition was like at a much different level. And so, yeah, that for us, that opened our eyes. I came back from that all excited. I was like, holy cow, I've actually never thought of it that way. And then tying back into neurodivergence, if you haven't tried skateboarding with kids that are neurodiverse, it is an amazingly like regulating activity. And we have teachers that have used it as incentive and behavior modifiers where kids will do skateboarding in the morning when they show up to school, and other teachers have come to them during the day saying, "What are you doing with them? We're not having a behavior issue." And it might be just anything. It might be getting up, walking around the room, or they might be a runaway. And those behaviors are subsiding like dramatically. And then Matt, your thing about like the skateboards being different, I'm super stoked you mentioned that, because as we're developing new gear, we're making like a huge effort so that all the adaptive gear, the deck looks the same as what everybody else is skating on. It might be bigger, but it's going to have the same graphic. If you look at the story from today, actually, Zach designed a longboard, and we're going to be making some longboards. So anyway,
That's beautiful. It's not the word I
yeah.
use, but it's beautiful.
Hey, can I say something?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I kind of wanted to talk about that. One of the things that I've started doing, well, one, we're in California, so as you guys saw in my emails, there's the administrator is a former cop, 25-year retired, and there's sometimes this divide between skateboarders and then the other side, if that makes sense. But one of the things that my friend started about 10 years ago was Skate MD. And Skate MD is basically what happened 10 years ago was that kids were leaving schools who were on the spectrum or had some sort of developmental disability because they were being bullied. They thought this was horrible, and they were like, let's do this. So these are skate moms, and they started a nonprofit. And what they do is they have a clinic once every 2 months where they get expert skaters with a youth skater, and youth that have developmental disabilities come in and they learn how to skate at 28th and B, which is in Sacramento. This has been probably one of the biggest and best things for my students, to be able to connect to a bigger community from the N-Men. Do you guys know who the N-Men are? I don't see. Oh, they're the guys that started the skateboarding movement in the 70s here in NorCal. Yeah, Dogtown down in Southern California, right? And we had N-Men up here. So seeing those guys there, and then the kids becoming a bigger place. For example, my son, who was it 2 weeks ago, we did a Skate MD, and the kid he was working with was blind, and how they were teaching him how to skateboard while using it was just a real amazing experience. And so what I've started to do since I've been at Sierra Academy of Expeditionary Learning is really trying to implement that idea of service through skateboarding. And Skate MD has been one of those great things where a lot of our students are, they struggle socioeconomically, learning disabilities and all that. And it's the one thing that I've seen that them being a part and helping youth see the beauty of skateboarding has really changed and shifted the way they see skateboarding, and as a community we see skateboarding. So I think me taking over skateboarding after the last teacher left has been a great thing, and I'm just hoping that within Nevada County I can now get other teachers involved to do. Oh, I see that. And yes, there you go. The N-Men pool service. Because I used to say they were doing pools in the 70s when there was a drought here, and they would skate them, right? It's just a great thing. And I think for our kids, the majority of the kids that are in my skate elective, many of them really struggle in class. And it's the one class where they can shine. And then they try so hard, like in my class, those kids who are failing probably every other class. In my class, I teach Spanish. They are doing, like, they actually do work, which is kind of crazy, right? So that's all I have to say. But yeah, we have our thing. And if you guys want to look up Skate MD, it is a great thing. And if you ever want to get a hold of the board over here to see how you could implement something like that there, it's a really amazing thing too. And I know we have sponsors, for that.
Awesome. Thank you for that. That's really cool. I know that it's going to be our first priority tomorrow morning when we come into the office. Awesome. So I saw Zach. Did you raise your hand? Yeah, feel free.
Yeah. First to Mary, you said it was Skate MD.
Yeah, Skate MD
Okay.
Healing Hearts.
Okay. That's awesome. And that you said that was down in California?
Yeah, so we're over in California, in NorCal. So it's Sacramento
Oh,
area,
cool.
and we do clinics. The ones that where we do is like Chico, Santa Rosa, and Sacramento. Those are the ones, and we always do the ones in Sacramento.
Okay, cool. Awesome. Yeah, I'm from Oregon, so I was just curious about that because I wonder if there's stuff similar, a little further north because that's super cool. And also, you talked about like developmental disabilities in skateboarding, and I just kind of want to add to that, like, just looking through like what's out there. It's pretty clear like skateboarding is a great activity, especially for those individuals, because like compared to other sports, like the level of entry, like for equipment for you know choice of movement is so much like easier to get into, get your foot in the door because like you're buying a skateboard and safety equipment, not like travel, and you can participate at home. You can participate in skate parks, which are free, public spaces. And so I just want to kind of add to that. That was awesome. And then kind of chiming back to what Bo was saying, talking about like the regulation of it all. I totally have seen that. I'm working with a student right now, and we haven't tried skateboard ed, but one of his like regulating strategies is he'll start to get dysregulated, but they'll bring him to a treadmill. And this is in like a more profound disability school. It's self-contained, but his go-to is a treadmill because they say like the repetitive like joint loading and the exercise itself is just such like a regulatory process for him that I wonder like I feel like there's a great opportunity for skateboards to kind of be an alternate way of for him regulating in a way that's interesting and exciting. So I just want to say like all the stuff I'm taking in that you guys are saying is super cool to hear, like just through practice. So that's awesome.
Awesome, Zach. Thanks for that. Um, so a couple things that like kind of want to put out there is skateboarding's so cool. It has all these opportunities. It has all these different ways we can adapt it to all these students. So we know it works, right? What about it isn't working? Like, have you guys run into any challenges where you're kind of facing like, I don't know how to do this, or I don't know like where this is going to fit in with these students?
We're getting new admin next year, and I'm curious as to where skateboarding will continue or not continue in our curriculum based on the admin's opinion of skateboarders. I also think I have enough research to prove that it matters, but I'd be curious if anyone ran into that.
Oh, Bo, you want to go? Okay. Just recently, I came into some trouble when trying to get involved with a new Best Buddies chapter in Exeter. So I'm a big part of my Best Buddies chapter also. And this year we have gear coming into our high school, and our plan is to run a conjoined monthly event with the Best Buddies chapter of Exeter. And something that never came to my mind was that their chapter president was worried about like kids trying out skateboarding at a different school, or like just parents are afraid that their kids might get hurt at it because they can't be there and be like attentive, paying attention, like making sure that their child with special needs doesn't get hurt because people might not know them as well as they do. So I think just the idea of trust with like the parents, like that's something that I never thought of till now. But it's something that like you have to also keep in mind.
So I think for me, the biggest challenge that I had in the early years, when we started bringing this skateboard program to new schools, was going into the hyper athletic schools. So you go to some communities and it's a sports town, and learning how to temper. And I played a lot of sports, so I'm just going to use this as a term, super jock kids that they could do everything, and learning how to temper them so that their energy didn't overtake what I was trying to teach. And some of these classes were 50, 55 kids at one time. And this is, I'm talking like 2014, 2015. And that's when the idea of taking that kid, Chad, you mentioned it, that can shine, like finding the skateboarder in the school ahead of time. And then basically, I would usually like have lunch with the kid at some point and teach them how we taught. And that's where the evolution of our Scotch program has come from, empowering those kids. And as soon as you take, in our district, wrestling's like huge. And as soon as you take this kid that all of a sudden is athletically on par, but in a different way, they get a lot of respect. Kids recognize pretty quick. And so that was always my biggest challenge. And Matt Charbonneau, we ran into that in Vermont, not at Matt Bristol's school, another school with just, like this one class that was basically filled with travel sports kids. And they were running around feral, and it was real hard. And it ultimately came down to, as I told kids, like, you're just going in the penalty box. We are removing you from this situation. And it changed the tone. Like, just that kid probably had never been called out before. And we did it. But we were also outsiders. It was a different scenario. So that's one of the challenges that I've had over the last 14 years, I guess, with it now.
Yeah, that's definitely a big challenge. We do always run into that pushback a little bit from admin, kind of having that worry about what about my floors? My floors, our precious gym floors. We appreciate the floors, right? We're all about it. So we've gone into schools and I've actually brought in a skateboard that we have and said, let's go into the gym and let's work this out. Let me show you exactly how this board works. And we had a school in Maine here, and we didn't end up going to the school. I think it was more of a higher administration problem and the superintendent, but the principal was kind of worried, what are we going to do? So we walked him through and we're like, this is how we adapt a skateboard. So I showed him our butt boarding, belly boarding, knee boarding, and I was alone in the gym belly boarding. He's like, oh my God. And the whole time he's like, I get it. I totally get it. And then, he's kind of like, what about the floors? So we showed him our wheels are coned in. You're never going to have to worry about your floors getting damaged with these wheels. And we really have had zero complaints about skateboards making damage on floors since I've been with the company for going on 5 years now. And I mean, we've been working with a lot of schools, definitely over 100 at this point. So that's a lot of skateboards. I mean, we say we about see 50 students per skateboard when we go to a school. That's a lot of kids skateboarding, right? That's a lot of skateboards on gym floors, and that's a lot of opportunity for some damage to happen, and we haven't had any complaints. The only thing that gets hurt is our skateboards. We've been replacing some decks. We got some more to do. But yeah, that's really the only problem that I've kind of run into. So kind of moving on. Yeah, go ahead.
Real quick. Just like the other side of and I don't know if it's really been mentioned, but like that athlete and or just individual, especially at the middle and high school level, who are too cool for school, or they're worried about getting injured for their sport. And so like the fact that the wheels are so foreign to them, like they're not used to being on the wheels or moving, something like that. They're more used to using their feet to move, right? I get the pushback from them, but that's like anything we do as PE teachers, you're going to get pushback. And I tell my students that all the time, like, you're going to like some things we do and you're not going to like others. All I ask is you give it a try. Right. But I have noticed like some athletes, just be like, yeah, I'm not doing this. I'm not getting hurt. So it's almost like that end of it. And then the terms of pushback, if anyone ever has that feeling of like admin pushing back about safety, because I feel like that can come into play for doing biking, you're doing a number of different things of moving objects. It's like, where else is a student going to learn how to take safe and healthy risks? And I'll just leave it at that. It's like, don't we want them to learn how to do that under our supervision? And so skateboarding is a great entry point for that. I say that all the time. Ride at your own risk. If you never want to stand up, you don't have to.
That's awesome, Matt. Totally. We had I taught a class at UNH once, and I was going through and teaching everyone how to skateboard. And we had a couple D1 football players in there go, no, dude, not happening today. I was like, yeah, I hear you. You get a game on Sunday. Okay, fair game. But at the same time, they tried to hop on and they couldn't skateboard. And that just goes to show how that sport levels the playing field. I mean, you have people who are such traditional athletes and know every single thing that they could know about their body movement, and someone who doesn't do sports at all, and they're on the same playing field. It's they're starting from the ground up. It's such a foreign feeling, but as much as that's a threat, it's an opportunity for so many students to go, yeah, this is my time. Just like Chad said, that one student, not a traditional athlete, here's his time to really bring his name up. He can shine. He can show the other kids in his class, and those are awesome opportunities for like new kids to make connections, those new communities to grow. We see it all the time. It's so cool. Um, I had one thing else I want. So in terms of resources, we have a lot of resources that we take out. We really put them out there. We try and do our best to share them all with you as much as we can. Has anyone found one of these resources useful? It could be a training, could be one of the videos we put online, anything like that.
I'll just quickly say that you have so much online that I have not dug through. Like you just shared that wellness resource, and I sent that to my health teacher. So I'm technically a wellness program. So in theory, we should be trying to tie and connect standards and ideas and major concepts in our PE units at the same time as our health units. And we're not doing that, but that's the concept of a wellness program. So I like right now she's teaching mental health. It's a perfect time in Vermont to teach mental health. So now it's like, ooh, do I shift skateboarding to this time of year? And try and really connect with mental health. So I sent her those resources and being like, I haven't looked through this, but like let's look through this together. And see where we can really tie together skateboarding and mental health. And then I feel like I've asked a lot of questions about your resources. The number one thing is getting these guys in for a training in person. Working with them in person is like what I feel like really hooks anyone that's like on the edge or just whatever. Just working with you guys is amazing. But the question I just asked, and it looks like you answered it, is like a Scotch checklist, or like I think about driver's license too, like this idea of like gamifying PE, especially at the elementary level, but even middle and high school, like they like to have fun. They like to play games. So it's like making it levels. So like, what does it take to become a Scotch, or how do you earn your skateboard ID, like license, if you will? So things like that make it like a little more engaging for the kid who might be engaged that way. Yeah.
Yeah, totally. And I saw that Bo responded to it. I've been working through a training checklist for we're doing workshops as part of kind of our expansion. So we, I'm developing a workshop right now where we're going in and training future Scotches. So we're going to go into a school, we're going to work with students for like half a day and show them how to be a Scotch. And a checklist and an ID card for them to leave with is an epic idea, Matt. So that's going to be something I get to do tomorrow. And yeah, man, that's awesome. And these are the things that we love to hear from you guys. We put stuff out, but we also love to hear what you guys need from us, because it's what all other teachers need. We want to produce what you guys are using and bringing to your classrooms every day, and that you think can make the program more well developed. We're always open to listening to this stuff and growing it as much as we can.
Matt, could I ask you a question?
Yeah, absolutely.
So this is really from P-Berg. We don't have the program currently. It really helped that you reduced it from having to have two teachers to one teacher. We have 180 kids from pre-K to 12th grade, and we're on a 4-day week because of finances. So I've talked to superintendent. He's supportive, but it's like finding a teacher that's willing to give that extra time. And I just wondered if any of your folks could address that. What would be good selling points for that?
Yeah, absolutely. That is a tricky one. We do have this online training, but we're so driven by the safety and thoroughness of our program that we really want to make sure it's all there. And that's where that time comes in. And we equate it to when I go to a school, we're spending the whole day together, me and the teacher, me showing them how to run the program from start to finish. And, as much as we can, we try and do the best, the best we can. So a really good hook for these teachers is just showing them some of the stuff we have on our website. I mean, we really do our best to resource and show as much about skateboarding and wellness as possible, how skateboarding comes into your classroom and impacts these students in different ways. You're going to see different categories of students, different groups coming together like they haven't before. So it's really great. But as far as the selling point, I always say that when they do this training, we provide them with a certificate of completion, reflecting those CEU hours. So if they do 6 hours of training, we give them that in hopes that they're kind of putting that to their admin, saying, "Okay, cool, I got my CEUs for this." We give a breakdown of what's involved in the training, the people who have helped kind of make it and how that works. But did that help answer your question? Okay. Bo, do you have something?
Sorry, I was dropping a link in there, ping-ponging back to Matt Bristol, and talking about skateboarding and mental health. So these are probably more high school type resources that you're going to find out there, but I think that they're really good just for some teachers to see, or admin or anybody. Proof content first, I guess. But the Why So Sad graphic novel, comic book, and things that are around about that are absolutely amazing. John Rattray, who's a professional skateboarder, founded it. There's been product lines from, I think it was Real Skateboards, Braden? Is that who did the Why So Sad deck? I can't remember.
Yeah, it was real.
Yep. And then there's the Ben Ramers Foundation, which does trainings from time to time. Ben, I'm just checking real quick who we got on here. Ben committed suicide probably 5-6 years ago, and it really took the skateboard community by absolute surprise. So there's a foundation in his honor. He was actually good friends with John Rattray. They're both UK skaters. Those two things are huge. Then the other one would be Push to Heal. And that is more about the impact of skateboarding as an activity and healing of the brain. And it's the neural sequential model of therapy. And it's a real eye opener. I can only speak to it at a basic level of awareness and understanding. But I think it's enough to move the needle for most people when you start looking at it, and if you've actually watched it happen. So highly encourage it. That comic book is amazing. And check that out to start.
I want to say, well, thank you for that. I'm going to look at those resources along those lines. But I wanted to answer to Ruby. It's something that First Push talks about like all the time. Is if you're trying to find the one teacher, I don't know if you only have one PE teacher at your K to 12 school, so it's going to fall on their shoulders no matter what. But like some of First Push best teachers in PE don't even step on a skateboard. And so this idea of the teacher does not need to be the expert. So if you're a PE teacher that looks to put new things or step outside, like you need that person be willing to step outside their comfort zone. It seems like a little bit, regardless of whoever is going to take that role on. But that's just the other side of what I'm hearing is like, yes, there's hours of training, but then when it actually comes into teaching it, if they don't feel confident, like they don't have to step on a board. There's ways to teach skateboarding without having to be proficient in it. In the last week's, what's her name? Last month's, your first teacher of the year. She talks about it really well. I'm blanking on her name. I have it in my notes here somewhere.
Deb Thomas.
Deb Thomas, yeah.
He talks so excitingly about how she started probably from no wheels to like learning how to do tricks, all because she's like, now going through the learning process with her kids all over again. So it was pretty exciting to hear about.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. It's such a big thing. One of my favorite teachers, she's in Newfield, Newfield, New Hampshire, and she's like, "Hey, I'm retiring in 4 years. I'm not getting on a skateboard." Like, no problem. So I walked in and she's teaching the whole thing off a blank skateboard deck that we give them for balance unit stuff as well. I was like, that's awesome. She loved it. The kids were still having a great time. They're skateboarding around their gym. It was super fun. I stayed and skated for a while. But yeah, you don't need to be able to, you don't need to have to be able to do the activity to be able to coach it, right? So awesome. Yeah, so I mean, kind of moving on. Is there anything that you guys want to know about gear? So, we have a lot of stuff that we bring to schools, and there's a lot of equipment that kind of goes in along with this program. How are you guys storing that? Is there any problems with it? Is there anything kind of going on in terms of the maintenance of the equipment? Yeah, I know that some of us are kind of new to the program, but I can talk a lot about just how this equipment kind of can wear and tear. Tyler, you got something?
There you go. Yeah, so something I'm trying to figure out right now is we have a whole like gear pod coming and we have no clue where we're gonna put it quite yet. So we're a pretty decent sized high school and our gym has a very cluttered storage area and it's a mess and kids go in there throughout the day and they grab basketballs, they grab whatever gear they want. So students are not only going in there but also like once they're done, they kind of just throw things in. Like even my freshman year when I was in PE classes, we would like once we're done with basketball, you just chuck it back in the basket. And when you like fundraise to get like skateboards and all this gear, it's not something you want to be treated like that, especially when it has like a personal connection. So something we're trying to figure out right now is like between sports, like that's one side of the gym, and then another side we have it's all just like sports equipment and like sports teams they have their own like sectioned off like lockers where it's all neat and organized but that's only for like sports that are run after school. So if you guys have any like tips about like storage that you guys want to share with me, that'd be awesome.
Yeah, storage is the thing, right? We want to keep our stuff safe. Tyler, you nailed it. I fundraised for these skateboards. I don't want your football gear thrown on top of them after practice, right? It's a hard thing to manage, and you always got to work with your teachers. Say, all right, cool, like this is a great option for us. Chad ended up doing a really good storage job, and Matt, yeah, called him out. Chad, how did you end up storing your gear?
I was just looking for that. I can only find a picture on my phone, so if you give me a second, I'll upload it to Drive and then I'll upload it here. Um, so here's how I did it. My wife went to Lowe's probably 4 or 5 days in a row and kept buying storage tubs, and then we would see if it would fit or not. And then she ended up having to take them back. So her and the lady at the return bin at Lowe's got to know each other very well. But bless my wife, she ended up getting. Let me see if I can find where to just put this. Let me see, recent. Three big storage tubs and I can share this. This is how we packed it to go to the conference. But since then, this is what I've been storing it in. So I have uh I don't I can look up the sizes. I don't know the sizes offhand, but we have two tubs that fit um 18 boards. So the two tubs there on the right, we can get 18 boards stored in there. And then our 19th and 20th, we just kind of sit on top. And then the larger one, we're able to get all of our helmets in. And that's including putting lids on. So once we get those, then they just stack on top of each other. And it's been a pretty successful way to get everything in and stored. And then what I do with my knee pads and elbow pads are we have muck tubs, like the 70-gallon muck tubs. So right now, since we're using everything, I just store the knee pads in one muck tub, the elbow pads in another muck tub, and then just kind of push those in and put them on top of those storage crates.
Yeah, that's awesome, Chad. That is so cool. I'm so impressed with how you puzzled those things in there. That is super cool. That's Tetris. We like our storage situations, we have a trailer that we pull and bring to school. And we end up having to we have all these shelvings built in the trailer and these tiny push rods that we try and tension in there. But in New England, we have these really cool things called frost heaves. So whenever we hit a frost heave, some of those little tension rods kind of come out, and I get to play pickup sticks when I get to my school. But otherwise, yeah, Tyler, that's a really great option for you. I know you can go to Home Depot or anywhere and get those tubs rather affordably. They're not expensive, but that will keep all your stuff super safe, super organized too, right? So even after you leave high school, Tyler, people can look at that and go, "Oh, awesome! That's how that goes in there. Sweet." And Chad, we're going to work together on actually what you use to store those in there. And I want to get specs on that because I think that's really important information to share with anyone getting our grant. Like, hey, get these tubs. This is how you store the stuff. That's like perfect for us. Love that.
And I'm gonna mute it. Yeah, that sounds perfect. Thank you. I just texted my mom to
I
write
got it.
down.
We're all set.
Yeah, what I like best about that too, Tyler, is like not only does it keep it safe, but it keeps it out of sight. So like I don't like it sounds like that's a big thing for me is keeping people that shouldn't be in my closet out of my closet. It's a never-ending battle. Our spaces are the most utilized spaces in every single building. And so I appreciate that comment. And but it keeps them safe and it keeps them out of sight, so people aren't going to grab them and play with them or throw their stuff on top of them. Either one.
Yeah, because I know for sure there's some kids that like there's definitely kids out they'll just walk in, they'll pick a board up, and they'll just start rolling. So that's something that I want to like have only teachers like using it.
One thing that we do at my school, I don't know if it's worth anything, is we released that to the woodshop class. And the woodshop class actually built us like these really cool things that go on the wall. And they're just two wood things with slats. And like how you display your skateboards in your room. And then I'm an English teacher. And so, like, that's how my room is decorated, but all the boards are everywhere. And then I have a way for a kid to like stop and take a brain break and use a floorboard, and then they're really like protective about their gear. They don't let other kids touch it, but I have control of being like in the room with them. I understand that's different with gyms, but it's a way because the woodshop class built them, they feel ownership over building the things holding the boards. And then that was like kind of the same concept. Somebody was talking about scotch. I think it was Matt, a checklist for a scotch. I'd have the students come up with what that checklist is as they're like looking at the progression of skateboarding. Sorry, I kind of shifted gears here, but I'd have the students make what a scotch is. If somebody can do these things, then I feel like I could look up to them and they could help me on my board. And then Ruby, I wanted to say back to you, when you find your teacher, it doesn't have to be a PE teacher. I'm an English teacher and I've been teaching skateboarding for like 6 years. So it's really finding like the person willing to take those risks and challenges and know the worth of what we do. So anyways, those are all my thoughts on all the topics.
Awesome. Thanks, Kendall. And yeah, Tyler, back to, kind of wanting to keep that stuff safe. I know that a lot of those like Home Depot totes actually have like a little pinhole in them where you can throw a lock on it just as extra security. But yeah, out of sight, out of mind is a wicked good theory to go by when having those skateboards because they're a attractive nuisance. If I was in high school, I got to be honest, I'd probably be going for one 9 out of 10 times. Awesome, guys. Yeah, that's super good stuff. I really like hearing all this. Kind of closing on the last 10 minutes of this here, I want to throw out, is there any classroom setups that anyone's kind of done that you feel has worked really well getting kids going. You know, the padding procedure is definitely something we have to work on as a, during school. All right, here's your helmet sizes, here's your pads. How do you get those kids going out of the gate to get them on their boards as, safely but quickly as possible?
The only thing I'll say real quick is like signs where equipment is organized. So it's like something I got from someone else in my district who was on board with us. And then I just made like, I took a picture of every piece of equipment. So small, medium, large helmets, put those into a Google Slides, large helmets, heading with the picture, and then like the skateboards, knee pads, elbow pads, and just like have those taped and all the things in like places spread out so kids can just come through. And that's when you're teaching like a mass class, opposed to like a club or like a small station. But like they're coming in all 20 and they're about to jump on boards. It's like, here's all the stuff neatly labeled. It is also teaching them social personal responsibility to like take care of their equipment. Like this is how we put things back. I gave up on the like double upping pads and was just like put things separately. One, it helps them air out, I think, a little better. And two, it's like they need two. Sometimes I'd have kids grabbing like multiple knee pads, not knowing that they were in sets, and then they have like four knees. And I'm like, no, that's not right, but okay. Anyways, like signs with stuff is all I'll add.
Yeah, signage is super helpful. We when we saw Chad present at PA, all of his stations had really good signage, just something we had never really put thought to. And his signs were super sick, his like flow was super sick. Signage is definitely always helpful when you're kind of going through this program. And yeah, padding too, right? Here's your small helmets, medium helmets, large helmets, elbow pads, knee pads. There's your signs above it. They can read the signs. When I go into a school for a day, I wish I had sign stands I could take with me going, here's this and this and this. I'm kind of organizing the whole shebang when I'm going through, but awesome.
One thing I'd add to that is the sign of what ready looks like a kid dressed and ready, taking the assumption of that everyone knows what ready is away, and be like, when we're all looking like this.
Yeah, and I was gonna add, like, I do a dry run the class before we start. Like, hey guys, we're gonna be doing skateboarding next week. I just want to show you really quickly. I have all the pad, like I'll tell them where the pads are gonna be. I don't have a gym, so everything's outside for me. Um, but I'll tell them like where the pads are gonna be, where the helmet's gonna be. Majority of my students, they bring their own helmet. But I do a dry run of like how to put the pads on, of how to don the helmet, if they do decide to wear one, and how to put it away. So like I said, I do like the class period before we start skateboarding.
Today was the first day with my older students that um, I kind of let them get padded up, and once they were ready, they were able to get aboard and start getting warmed up. And leading up to that, the first two classes, as we were understanding how to wear helmets and put pads on, I kept emphasizing and had a slide up that said safety equals freedom. And I tried to remind them at the end of last class before they came in, if you can show me that you have your helmet on, you have your pads on, that you're ready to go, I'm going to tell you to get aboard and get started. And that really sped up the process this morning of kids getting their gear and getting it on quickly, because they knew that as soon as they could get it on, that they were going to get aboard and start rolling. And another thing that I did, it's not scientifical, but been having them line up by height from shortest to tallest, so that as they walk in the gym, they kind of just walk in a single file line, and the first person that comes in grabs a small helmet, and they keep working themselves down until that last kid that's the tallest in the class gets a large helmet. It's again, we make adjustments as needed, but it's helped me get the helmets on to students quicker than just kind of everybody coming in, picking up one, seeing if it would fit, and if not, putting it back. So just some small things like that I've been trying to get, because I only have 45-minute classes, and my classes right now at the building I'm at are butted up against each other, so I don't have any time in between. So it's like kids are taking gear off. I'm spraying the helmets as fast as I can as kids are already coming in to pick up a helmet. And, you know, as Matt B said last week, he was talking about, or last month, talking about the kids complaining about the pads being wet, and he's like, "Oh no, I just sprayed it." So my kids are like, "Oh no, these helmets are all sweaty." No, no, legitimately, I just sprayed it. But I'm just trying to figure out like the best logistical way to get kids in and get them on the board as fast as possible.
Yeah, absolutely. Uh, one of the things I do when I go to a school is I'll show all the kids how we put our pads on, and it's something that we do with all of our gear loan in New England. Is we'll ask if teachers want a teacher box, and in that teacher box is a teacher board, a helmet, and a set of pads, and those are for teaching students before the whole program arrives how all those pads go on. So they have a visual beforehand, and then I always like to do it. I'll put one knee pad on and one elbow pad on and unbuckle my helmet, and I'll say, "Am I ready to skateboard?" You get like two students be like, "Yeah, why not?" The rest are like, "No, you're not cool." I'll say, "What else do I need?" And involving the students in those decisions always helps them recognize, like, okay, yeah, you need two elbow pads, you need two knee pads, and you need your helmet buckle. That's super important to staying safe. Those have been really good, helpful reminders for all the students when I've been teaching the program. Um, as we kind of close out here, I just want to ask, is there anything that anyone else had questions about the program that we as FPS might be able to help with?
My second teacher is just about to start, and she's coaching another sport right now and can't get on these. I think your resources are like extensive and wonderful and awesome. I think it's a great first place to go, but she is a non-skater, amazing PE teacher, years of experience, but I'm so in it, I don't remember what it's like to not be. Anything I need to remember of just starting teaching skateboarding in elementary and middle school?
Yeah, definitely super helpful. I'm also seeing Matt Bristol have GIF ideas for me, so that's fun. But yeah, bringing that stoke and kind of letting them know how skateboarding works early on, super hard to do. We're always happy to share resources again, but feel free. We have a quick workshop. We call it the walkthrough that we show teachers are like step by step on how to run the program. And it just walks them through exactly. Bo and I both did it. So there's two different perspectives. Mine's a little more wordy, Bo's a little bit more action driven on how we teach skateboarding. And I think it's the most digestible piece we've put out there that allows teachers to go, okay, cool, it's not that hard. Like it's a really easy, approachable thing that we can do. So yeah, feel free to connect her with me, and I'm happy to get them going through that. Is there anything else that anyone kind of wanted to talk about during these last few minutes here?
I just want to respond to Kendall. I would say give that friend, colleague, the encouragement to embrace that learner piece that we already kind of talked about. Like, just lean into that fact of like, hey, I'm going to learn this with you. Like, I'm going to teach you this. I'm prepared to teach you this. But and then on top of that, just like stick to the skill cues, like the 3 Ps. That's what makes skateboarding so beautiful. You break it down to those 3 Ps, like anybody can do it. Again, like whether you're on wheels or not, you can do the 3 Ps on a dry board or a rubber deck. Like, keep it to the skill cues and embrace the learner mindset.
And it's a prime time to grab one of your students to be a coach and give them a little bit of power to help teach the teacher.
You already know who I'm thinking of.
I do.
Working
I
on
hope
him.
it works. I hope it works. I was actually talking about you the other day to a curriculum coordinator for a district and talked about the instruction piece that was done for that Christmas present. And like that's the thing. And now she's like fired up. She's like, okay, so yeah, that's what it takes, and I do want to flash back because somebody mentioned something about healthy risk. And a couple months ago, Kendall like made one of the best analogies because you have what, like 1 million acres of BLM land. And it's either they're going to go take risk out there or a little bit of risk skateboarding. And so it's safer to give them a little bit of risk skateboarding at the skateboard park that they helped make happen. So, um, my time's running short, so I'm going to jump out. But bye, everybody. Thank you. Appreciate all you.
Debo. Awesome, guys. So yeah, any other questions or concerns kind of going into this? I know that we've been in contact with everyone here, and we're always happy to help. And I hope I do a decent job communicating with everyone. But it's always good to chat in person and hear what you have to say.
I was typing a question in the box, but I'll just ask it. Your February monthly challenge. I've not participated in any of your monthly challenges, and that's a goal of mine to like start doing that. It's like a build your skate park. And yours looks very like 3D. My students have a lot of experience in like 3D printing. So I don't know if I read through it well enough, if you're expecting like a hand drawing, because it was like fit inside this paper. But if my students have experience with 3D printing and like software with that, can they design it on that? And then we just print it, put it inside that box that makes sense. I'm seeing a big head nod.
They can make whatever they want. They got to make their own skate park.
Cool.
And then just send us a copy of a picture. We give that outline as like draw it in here, but yeah, absolutely. That would be super sick. Cool. I just got done making today. We're doing a fingerboard workshop or fingerboard skate park workshop. So I'll go into a school and we'll teach a class in STEAM how to build fingerboard parks out of paper templates. So we're kind of putting that all together. But to have your students do an example that I could show and like, this is one that got 3D printed. Like this is the creme de la creme. Here's what we can do with this. Would be sick. That would be so cool.
I just will say I'm doing a dance unit and I have a student. I shouldn't say this. I'm recording. Thank you. I thought you stopped the recording, but I'll just not say it. Never mind.
All right, cool. We'll talk later.
Share awesome. It.
Cool. Great, guys. Well, I feel like that's kind of what we have tonight. Thank you so much for joining. I think we had a really good conversation, and I look forward to hearing from everyone as we kind of get going into the next month here.